Summertime's lax. Do you remember me? Once I called you my own. I'm sad as I can be. It's no fun all alone. Why can't a memory roll away like a tear? Why do I go to my window hoping you will appear? 'Cause I need you, 'cause I miss you, 'cause I wish you were here.
Tonight crept up on me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the fact that the sun going is down. The sun going is down. The sun going time down is happening later, yes. And it's sort of throwing off my internal clock. And as a result, I was puttering about, working on my notes, etc. And I looked over. Ecamm gives you this countdown until your scheduled live time, and there was 5 minutes left. And I did not expect that. I thought it felt like I had a lot more time than that. Oh, good hair. I just got out of the shower about 10 minutes ago. My shirt is the Ted Cruz appreciation shirt. I understand, like, a lot of people think he's like a bad guy and stuff, but he exposed the basically, the situation at the border is akin to Guantanamo, and we would not have known this were it not for the Geraldo Rivera-esque investigational exploits of one Ted Theodore Cruz. I'm getting Ted Theodore Logan vibes, but no, this is my Ted Cruz was the Zodiac Killer shirt, which I stole. It's mine now because possession is 9/10 of the law, and I've now had this shirt for years, and I'm not giving it back. Good evening, everybody. No, I didn't mean that like, oh, it's no biggie. I just got out of the shower. It's no biggie. I meant like, because I got it. It's because I got out of the shower and just put the stuff that I put in it. And because it's still damp, that's why it's like this. Maybe, if I took a screenshot now and then a screenshot at the end of the stream, you'll notice a big difference. But cheers, everybody. when stung. It's a busy night tonight. A lot has gone on. A lot has gone on like in the last couple of days. Am I a gel man or a mousse man? I sometimes will go days with just putting olive oil in my hair, which doesn't smell great. So then I'll get the salon equivalent, which, you buy a bottle of olive oil for $9, get the salon equivalent, which I guess doesn't start to smell rancid. And then it's, $20. And that's basically what I put in my hair is like kind of, it's oil. It's essentially oil. Bunch of oil stuff. You could probably cook with it. I could probably squeeze my hair onto a griddle. You can get yourself a nice fry up. And who wouldn't want that? Oh, Nick, that is sweet. I've definitely noticed like a serious change over the past few years, the texture of my hair, which annoys the heck out of me. It's getting very, especially on the side, like wherever it is gray, it's getting stringy and me-no-like. Don't like that at all. Like, I need to put like some kind of relaxer in it or something like that. That would be ideal, I think. So we opened with Lila's theme from might have been my first encounter with ennui as a child. Would have been, maybe there was something before then. But I feel like one of my first recollections of feeling that sort of longing for something that, of course, at 5 years old or 4 years old, however old I was, I couldn't put my finger on, but was in watching Snoopy Come Home when Snoopy, for those of you who don't know, Snoopy goes back to his previous owner. If you don't know the backstory of Snoopy, he was adopted by Charlie Brown from the Daisy Hill Puppy Farm, because, Charles Schultz was all about adopting animals instead of buying animals. And so, yeah, Snoopy was an adopted dog, and his previous owner got sick. Lila wrote him a letter. Snoopy, feeling at cross purposes and sort of ambivalent and torn in his loyalties between the blockhead Charlie Brown and Lila, goes on a road trip to see said Lila. Are y'all hearing this? I have a couple of, I'm going to turn these up. Let's see. I'm not really able to hear what's going on that well. I got my my ear mics. They're in full effect, but I have no idea. Are they working? Let's get that up to. Does that sound awful? I don't even know. Does it sound ASMR-y? I'm not monitoring it, so I have not a clue. Did I ever hear of Happy Tree Friends? I want to say that I did, but I can't seem to recall it. I remember in my childhood, I had some weird experiences with depression very early on, starting with a recurring nightmare that I had in kindergarten. And that was the start of my psychiatric journey, which, considering I've been in and out of psychiatry for 44 years, something like that. You'd think I would have made more of a breakthrough by now, but and my father was a psychiatrist, so you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So of course his immediate response to me having recurring nightmares was, well, you clearly need to see a therapist. And so I did, and continued to, and honestly, like my opinion of psychoanalysis, like intense Freudian psychoanalysis, is, yeah, probably there's something to it. It forces you to confront things you'd rather not confront. My opinion is similar to exposure therapy. My opinion of this sort of light touch therapy is that it's not going to really get you anywhere. It's been my experience. The problem is, like, if I encounter a therapist who forces me out of my comfort zone, I immediately find another therapist. So strangely, it's like, the therapist who would actually help me is the one I have an aversion to, and the therapist who maybe would just be content to let me do my own thing, those are the ones I end up sticking with, and that's why I am here at the ripe old age of 48. Drinking the Coke that I was told would surely give me diabetes by the time I turn 30 if I continue drinking it. I probably will have diabetes in the next decade or so, but I got a half a century out of it, and it was, I can't say that I regret it. My stomach is regretting it right there. Anyway, good evening, everybody. I think I already said that, but saying it again. Let's see who's hanging out tonight. Oh, I can't go all the way back here. Elijah, Lexi, Q, KJ. These are the stalwarts. I can rely on these people more than I can rely on my own family. Q, you started your day by partially falling down some stairs. I hope you're all right. Those sort of innocuous things, they can be innocuous. Like, I don't know how bad it was. Okay, thankfully you didn't actually get hurt. Try it again in 10 years. You probably will get hurt. Good evening. I don't know who this is. Vitriolici. It looks like kind of like the Okami dog. I'm hoping it's not vulgar. It looks neat. But good evening. Gels is here with the perpetually chipper Paul McCartney face. Gotta say, I wish Paul McCartney were a bit more brooding. Not that particular Paul McCartney, but just Paul McCartney in general. I feel like, and that's such it's a really superficial judgment of, one of the greatest pop songwriters ever to have lived. Yet somehow I would probably find his music even more sort of deep and resonant if he were more of the brooding Elliott Smith or John Lennon type. Totally unfair. He did write some shit though, right? Like Paul McCartney wrote some songs that are just like, man, really? Come on. I mean, Maxwell's silver hammer. I don't care if there was like subtext to it. That was just like when he was in his I'm writing music that you will hear when you go to the carnival mode. That's when I'm off the Paul McCartney boat, train, roller coaster would be the most appropriate analogy there, I suppose. Amy, good evening. Low key salty with Jeff. Jeff is your partner, Lexi. I am familiar with this feeling when someone who I had a similar kind of rivalry with my cousin when we were young. I'd been playing guitar for some time, and he started playing, and he just like naturally took to it and was, surpassed me very quickly. And there was a little bit of resentment there, and I was like, damn it. But I also didn't I hurt my hand, and then I kind of stopped practicing and stuff, and I didn't have the discipline he had. He had a lot of discipline. He went to MIT, so I guess you gotta have discipline to go to MIT. You don't have to be a genius to go to MIT. You have to be disciplined, and you have to have the right opportunities, and you have to take advantage of those opportunities. And to some extent, you have to be. Look at this now. This is getting more and more. Like as it dries, like this weird sort of in between state that my hair is going to be in for the next several months. But I was, I should never be on Twitter. I just shouldn't. It just pisses me off. Everybody who goes on Twitter just gets pissed off. That's the goal of Twitter, is to go find a tweet that outrages you, and then, if you have the cojones, you respond directly to it. If you don't, like me, you just make a post of your own that is a direct response to it without calling that person out, because you don't want to ruffle any feathers, but you still want to make your point known. Look, doctors are not geniuses. Neurosurgeons are not geniuses. Lawyers are not geniuses. You don't have to be a genius to be any of those things. What I'm rankled by here is what I had seen a little bit lately of this idea of the idea that IQ is genetic, which it's not, right? It just isn't. But even if there is, some element of IQ that is genetic and not environmental, it doesn't even matter when we're talking about things like succeeding in a modern civilization, because anybody, as long as you meet this sort of base level of intelligence, you're not, sorry, should have turned off my notifications. You're not mentally impaired, or even if you are mentally impaired, right? It's still, we have, as a society, set the bar so low for ourselves that I feel like you have to be dedicated and you have to be intelligent, right? But everybody has the potential to develop their intelligence, and there is no component of genetics involving race or creed or, I guess not creed, race or country of birth or anything like that would prevent you from achieving success if that is what you wanted, and if you were afforded that opportunity, if you were one of the select few that were afforded the opportunity to pursue those desires. Everything else comes down to environment. What were you taught? What was ingrained in you to even desire? What do you think is just what has been taught to you as like something you you're never going to be able to achieve, no matter what you do. Who was that first guidance counselor who maybe thought they were doing a good thing by reining in your expectations, somehow trying to realizing that the school that they were at doesn't send people to top tier colleges or top tier medical schools or whatever, and then trying to get, the world needs vocational students too, right? And we do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, it's not a foregone conclusion for anybody that they can't achieve what they want, as long as they are afforded the right opportunities. And that speaks towards the need for equity, which equity as in opposition to equality, because equality only works if we were all starting from the same place to begin with, and we're not. So since some people are starting at a deficit due to institutionalized issues, we need to strive for equity, not equality. Anyway, first tangent over with. I remember this. Yeah, everybody play bingo. We got a lot to get to tonight, so it's already been 23 minutes, and we haven't gotten to one thing. Let's see. I'm just gonna quick go through these. Yeah, the Peanuts cartoons did kind of have a Schoolhouse Rock look to them. Oh, Warp Raven. I hope you feel better. Sorry that you don't feel well. Yeah. Did you get the vaccine? Mouse Bear Kitty. Hello. Garrow London. Pavi, of course. Did I say Pavi already? In case I didn't. Amy's got it. I wanted to set the tone, a mournful tone, for the evening, because that's what I feel. So that's what I want everybody to feel. And I explained this, Lexi. And now we're in the talking about hair comments, which now you wouldn't say that, right? Like, this is a development over the past few minutes, which I can't control. Xava, good to see you. Paper, I remember you now. Lisa S., how are you doing? Elijah Hill, what made me become a YouTuber? I was bored. I recently went back and watched an interview. I don't know, it was like a Q&A interview kind of thing with ASMR people, where I talked about why I got into ASMR, and I find that I'm changing my answer as life goes on. Like the answer that I gave in 2015, and then the answer that I gave in 2018, and the answer that I gave a year ago, and the answer that I give now, they're it's not that I'm lying, it's that or maybe I am, and it's like the story that I'm telling myself becomes the truth. But there's a kernel of truth in all of them, and that is that I had just had my son. I was working, had 2 kids, married, and I was at that point where I just felt like I didn't have a creative outlet, and it was really weighing on me. And I had taken up videography because of my kids, because that's what one does, to be a diligent parent. You have to have 1,000 pictures of your kids. And I'm partially being like cynical when I say it, but I do actually really enjoy going back and looking at, oh my God, like I saw a picture of my son recently. Now you see what you're doing to me? You're getting me to do, this is why, let's see if I can airdrop this. I'm going to airdrop this and throw it on the screen real quick. Airdrop was canceled. No. Don't you be canceling my airdrop. All right, so you're going to find there. Finder. Where's my Finder window? Oh, there it is. Sorry, I'm still learning the ins and outs of Macintosh. So yeah, look at this picture of my son. On the right, you wouldn't know it. These were taken about like 3 years apart. But I'm not sure which one was taken earlier and which one was taken later. For some reason, AirDrop is not. It's showing up. It's showing the Mac. AirDrop this photo, you bastard. And then it keeps saying it's canceled. Okay. Well, screw you. Bizarre. The AirDrop is supposed to be wonderful. Oh, here it is. It actually did go through. So yeah, I saw this picture. And it got me all oogie because I remembered his feet. What got me oogie about this picture was his feet. His feet used to be about as tall as they were long. They were like blocks. They were just blocks. They were a little bit longer than they were tall, but not much. And I thought that was flippin' adorable. And I used to always like just laugh at his feet. And just like look at his feet and laugh at him. And now his feet look like normal person feet. And so I like to go back and look at pictures of back when he had the feet of a Lego man, I suppose. Is what it was? Something like that. Do I have anything else here I can share? Don't worry, I'm not going to just start sharing photos of my kids all day. I know how much everybody hates that. Oh, did I share? I don't know if I shared this. Erebus Adora did another. Yeah, I don't think I shared this. Erebus Adora did another sort of sketch of me based on the demon video I did. No, I was going to say like 2 weeks ago, but it's like a month ago now. Did a really good job. I like it anyway. I like pictures of myself. Yeah, I thought she did well there. She made my shoulders look broad, which, as you can tell here, like my shoulders are almost as thin as the chair I'm sitting in. My shoulders ain't broad, but I really like the use of color here and the kind of spiral behind me. And of course the frog on my shoulder with the little Viking helmet, which I then of course wanted to get. All right, I gotta stop looking through photos. I could do that for hours. So what made me become a YouTuber was an interest in videography and boredom. That's what it was. And discovering ASMR, which I discovered via gentle whispering at work. Everybody was making fun of it. This was 2014. Nobody knew what it was. They thought it was everybody thought it was sexual, thought it was like some kind of weird fetish. Everybody was making fun of this gentle whispering video. I went to it and was watching it in my office, and I just could not stop watching it. And but I also noticed like I've apparently like lied about whether or not I get ASMR, but really it's more like what is getting ASMR. I don't think, or maybe like I have once or twice, but I don't really think I get tingles. Certainly not as a matter of course. I don't get tingles. But I do feel like I get what I would call, I get a calming effect from ASMR, from certain voices, from certain actions being performed. That's highly effective. Tingle or no tingle, right? It's still having a physiological effect on me, or neurological effect, both. Anyway, Maddie is eating homemade key lime pie. I cannot eat key lime pie. It makes the inside of my cheeks itch, which is a weird thing to say. It's true. The Fonz, you cracked the Zodiac. Well, it's already been cracked now, though. Or are you saying you did it on your own, just as an exercise? Okay, hair talk. Bingo card link. Hair talk. Oh, I'm going to have to go down a bunch here. Seriously, it's been a problem. Like SJ called me out on it once because olive oil does have a distinctive scent. I have to keep going down. Keep going down here. Here, let me turn up the. Let me know if this sounds bad, because I don't want to do it if it sounds bad. But while I'm doing this other stuff, I could be brushing your ears. Skeleton Center, congratulations. Glad to hear that. Okay, now I'm down at the ear clean. This must have been the first time I was doing it. Hi, Isra Khan. Hi, Gigi NYC. Yeah, Q, right. Like, you know what? People have nightmares. Like, it's not that unusual. It's not. To be fair, this was a recurring nightmare that I had over and over and over again. And it was making it difficult for me to sleep. And I was in kindergarten, and it was a fairly sophisticated dream for a kindergartner, I guess. I'm gonna have to go back and watch Happy Tree Friends, because I think I know what y'all are talking about. But now I'm gonna have to go back and look at it. Somebody let me know if this sounds good or not. But like, let me know with context. Like, if you just say yes, by the time I get to the comment, I won't know what you're talking about. If you could say the ear brushing sounds good, or the ear brushing sounds like crap, that would be lovely. Ooh, solid fingers. Hello, Hex Tech Gunblade. Oh, I'm sorry, Mouse Bear Kitty. I, is very much a luck of the draw or some sort of genetic thing for me. I really should have gotten diabetes by now. My diet is highly sugar-based. Lauren McLeod, it's 2 a.m. in Germany. It's later than I think. I like that picture in your avatar. It looks like filmy. Like it looks like there's almost like someone smeared Vaseline on the lens. Hey, Leela Brun, how are you doing? I'm getting there. I'm getting down there. Getting down to the bottom. This is what I want. Can you imagine? If this was Paul McCartney would be, like, you don't really hear much about him anymore. And man, he's so important. He's so culturally important. But I really feel like if he were more of a curmudgeon, if he were more of a Dylan, that he would get, and this is unfortunate, but he would probably get more respect. I don't know what people are talking about here. And also, is this like, because I have these turned up now, I don't want to add a lot of noise. Somebody give me some feedback. I probably just haven't gotten to it yet. Amy, would not be a bad idea. You're missing my point, Skeleton Sinner, in what I'm talking about. I understand that you can be born with 4 brain cells, and that means you are genetically unable to do the things that a human being would do. What I'm saying is that what people consider baseline intelligent, and what we need, what the requisite amount of intelligence is for the prestige classes of middle upper class jobs, i.e. doctors, lawyers, e.g. doctors, lawyers. Yeah, actually e.g. or i.e. would work for this. Doctors, lawyers, scientists, all of those things could be in the average brain, nurtured to the point where someone could be very successful at those things. I totally agree with this. I think that this is the curse of introspection coming from genius. So many geniuses probably just self-destruct, and we never know they existed, and we never recognize them for what they could have been. All right, let me just scroll down to the bottom here before we lose everybody. I missed this joke here. Darn it. Oh, it's Butterfly Composer. What is up? Good to see you too. Oh, no, I didn't. I did not. That's right. You called in and you looked like somebody, but I mean, it's not like your name has got, or your face has not become clearer in my mind in the interim. So no, I didn't. I'm sorry. Let's just say Brad Pitt. No, Lexi, I don't think you will, right? Like, I mean, I really get a kick out of taking photos, and like I gotta show off my, look, I've lost, here, bingo. I've lost a bunch of Instagram followers because my Instagram feed of late has become like super generic shots of birds and close-ups of moths and snakes, and it's because I'll be right back. Hold on, I'm going nowhere. It's because of this camera here. Let's see, is this better? Doesn't really matter. Which you can see I rigged out. I basically took, so it has one of these knobs so you can basically move the shoe beneath. Imagine this handle wasn't here, just the mounting point. You can kind of shift it wherever you want. So I attached a mounting plate to it, and then I took one of my handles from one of my Blackmagics that you're meant to steady a video camera, and it works perfectly. It's great, and this lens, although it's a 100 to 400, but the sensor, because this is a micro four thirds sensor, you're essentially getting, well, you're not essentially getting, you are getting 400 to 800. So you can get close-ups of craters on the moon with this thing. And it's made me kind of like fall in love with micro four thirds all over again, because, if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to do something like this with a full frame camera, you would need to buy, first of all, you'd need to buy an 800 millimeter lens, and that lens would probably run you about $12,000. I don't have that kind of money. And on top of that, I'm not printing out wall-sized prints of these photos. I'm putting them on Instagram, and maybe I'll print out some of them, but I'm not going to print them out like huge, right? So, but this has been like taking up a lot of my time. Just been like, and I'm sure like people see me with this camera, and they think not so good things. They think I'm snooping or spying on them. When I go to the park, even like I feel like I have to be sure, like I'm always pointing it up. I don't want people to think that I'm spying on them. But the truth is, like when I have this thing at full extension, you could be so far away that you wouldn't even know what it is that I'm holding in my hand. But I love, best, I guess I do buy a lot of stupid gear, but you buy a lens. The thing about buying a lens is you can sell it, right? You can just sell it for almost exactly what you paid for it. Sometimes even more. I bought a lens. Let's take case in point, the Sigma Art 18 to 35 1.8. That lens came out 8 years ago. I bought it about 8 years ago. I put it on the first ever Canon camera I ever bought. That lens is being used for the, do I still have a welcome video on the Phoenician Sailor channel? I don't remember if I do, but it was used for that. It was used for the Martha experiment, like all my super early videos, and then tons of videos later, videos as recently as, a few months ago. That lens was, I don't know, $700 when I bought it. I've had it for about 8 years. I could sell it for $700 tomorrow, which I understand, you still lose a little there because of inflation. But I mean, just don't, if you want to buy lenses but you're like, it's a waste of money, as long as you keep them in good condition, you can always sell them. I've done it many times. For those of you who do follow me on Instagram, I bought this probe lens, which was this really long, thin lens. It was a 24 millimeter lens, had LEDs on the end of it, and was a macro lens. Very specific lens for very specific uses. Could get in like nooks and crannies, was great for like, product shots and stuff. And I was thinking, I could do so many cool things with this lens. I had it for about 2 weeks. I did all the cool things I could think of to do with it. And then I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, and there's nothing I really want to do with this lens. And lo and behold, that lens I think I sold for more than I bought because there was a shortage of supply on those lenses. The Leoa 24 millimeter probe lens. I think it's still now even like a highly sought after lens. Anyway, I don't know why. Oh, it was because of this. You're definitely not a failure as a parent. I never enjoy the moment. Like, I wish I could enjoy the moment. Occasionally I will get caught up in enjoying the moment, but most of my life is living in fear, and then looking back and recalling fondly. But the moment itself is generally like just a bunch of fear. Which sucks. Okay, all right, let's see if I can get down to the bottom, because I keep getting more and more. Oh no, Xava, why is your life completely out of control? Can you share? Of course, don't share if you can't share, or don't want to share, but if you do share, then, oh my gosh, people are talking about, I gotta catch up. I know, like, there was something about, like, something about little fat feet. Like, I don't know what it was. I just wanted to, like, always grab them. I didn't feel that way about his hands. He had little tiny fat hands too. I guess I did feel that way about his hands as well. But for some reason the feet were especially difficult to withstand the cuteness. Warp Raven, yes, please take care of yourself. I think I just gotta get down to the bottom of these here. I'm sorry, people, I'm going to skip. Oh, but I gotta say hi to Grace. Making your own soy milk. I like that it's paraphernalia. It's like a home brewing. I can't imagine what that. I can imagine that it probably would put me off of soy milk even more than I already am. Okay, so the brushing is okay. I do use coconut oil now. It doesn't feel the same. It's too like light. It's not greasy enough. I need greasy. Brushing is good. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I could see this. Yes, are you saying a recurring dream that you have some degree of lucidity with, and you can recognize, hey, I've had this dream before, but then there's something a little different about it. Yes, I've had that. I acknowledge you all the time, Skeleton Center. Oh, well, perhaps there's some meaning there. All right, I'm going to skip down to the end of the chat. I'm sorry if I miss stuff. So, but otherwise we're never going to get to the agenda this evening. We're going on an hour. and have not even started the agenda. Although tangents are like part of the agenda, right? So, Xava, making a lot of wrong decisions. I mean, at least you're making decisions, right? I mean, the road to, fail again, fail better. That whole line. Here, I'm going to turn this up a little more so we can get even more. Jojoba oil, which I mispronounced for the majority of my life. I can show you what I use, as it seems like I need more of it at this moment. Coconut oil hair serum. Greens are hard to read because of it's coconut oil with almond oil and olive oil and silk keratin protein. So it's just doing that over and over again. And then I know oil naturally goes to the back, the bottoms, but that part of my hair is annoying the hell out of me, and now my hands are gross. But yeah, that's pretty much what I use. And yes, I'm at the bottom of the chat now, so hey there. Hey there. Hey there. Over there. Oh no, Katerina. Feel better. Let's see if I take the really light brush. That's the light, super light brush. This is the blender brush. So it probably makes really, I guess, subtle sounds. Do I have dry hair? I don't know that I have dry hair. I just like my hair to stay out of the way, and I don't like it to poof up. So, hey, Leah, you made it. Leah made it. So here, we can get mark one thing off the official agenda. I am going to partake in one of Leah's many projects. She's a very prolific writer of plays. That's good to hear. I actually have been wondering about Elliot lately. A little worried about them. Just hope they're okay. Seabreeze does. Thank you for making it to the stream. But so I am going to perform I'm honored to perform in one of Leah's plays. Jurassic Park, A New Era. This Sunday, that would be April. It's April something. It's definitely April. It's definitely not May yet. April 5th, is it? Something like that. Whatever this Sunday is, and I shall be portraying, April 25th. I shall be portraying Ian Malcolm. So doing my best to do strange accents on weird parts of words, like Jeff Goldblum does. Hey, Romanchek, good to see you. Leah is doing a play because she writes really well. It's very, very funny. And she's managed to assemble a bunch of people who are really, really funny. And also me. Which, I think is quite generous of her to allow me to be the straight man, I guess, is what that comes down to. But I'll put more details on that on my Instagram. So if you're not following Instagram, should probably do that if you want to keep up with all the latest and greatest crap that I'm doing. So, hey, what is up? Derek Chauvin. All right, this is what I have on my list here. Derek Chauvin. We talked a little bit about this last night, preemptorily, and he had literally just been found guilty, maybe an hour before the last stream. Now, some interesting things that have happened since then. Nancy Pelosi, man, why can... I don't get it. I guess I do get it. She's older. Yes, Chauvin. Yeah, just put istic at the end. She's an older woman. She's, maybe as you get older, kind of like with Joe Biden, maybe says things without thinking them through or without maybe seeing the repercussions of what they're saying or not really understanding 100%. So Nancy Pelosi said, and I quote, "Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice." So for those of you who don't know, George Floyd is the black man who was, one of multitudes of black men who have been murdered by police in America. Now, the thing about George Floyd and Derek Chauvin was someone, and this is happening more and more, had the presence of mind to record what was going on, and to do so in such a way that it made it, there was very little room for spin. So Derek Chauvin kneeled on this man's neck / shoulder for 9.5 minutes. There were paramedics there. He was saying that he could not breathe. Everything about it is horrendous. And we got it on tape, right? So much like we were talking about, these possible geniuses who self-destruct and we never hear a word of them. How many times has this happened? It's innumerable, right? And it's only because there was just this preponderance of evidence, absolutely an orgy of evidence, right? That that the justice system as it stands today in America was going to actually prosecute him and get some kind of what some would consider justice by finding him guilty. He hasn't been sentenced yet, so as we were talking about yesterday, right? Like there's a lot of wiggle room in there. However, it's not just manslaughter or it's murder, right? So there is a sort of baseline, at least, of murder. Wait, I'm sorry, Lisa. Oh, sorry. I don't want to be laughing about any of this, right? But I saw Hall and Oates. I don't have the presence of mind to stop myself from jumping in when I see someone mention Hall and Oates. Right, Q, of course, correct, and right, Grace, right. And it goes without saying, right? Had that recording not been made, it just would have been another. It is insane. I don't know I guess I could speculate what's going on, right? There's been, like, we've all been sort of trapped in our homes or our circles, and some of us with others, some of us, without anyone. There's been, I think, a lot of, with Trump being voted out of office at long last, there is a large contingent of right-leaning, not exclusively white male, but generally cis male outrage that seems to be coming out both in the police department and outside the police department. So there have been something like 48 or 50 mass shootings. I had this up. Well, in the last month, that's more than one a day. It's preposterous. I don't understand how anyone can, with a straight face, say that the Second Amendment doesn't need to be reformed. I don't get it. Like, to me, that is just right there, right off the bat. If that's what you're saying, it's a sure sign of narcissism and a lack of compassion, compunction, extreme selfishness, a lack of empathy, a fear. There's a lot of fear behind these sort of posturing, proselytizing, blustery, tough white men with their guns who want to go hunting, and Ted Nugent told them that it was okay, and nobody's going to take their guns away, and if you make it so they can't fire fast enough, somebody's going to come up with a way to get around it. And I'm at the point where I don't have like any sympathy to even or it's not even sympathy. I don't have the energy to engage with the debate on the subject anymore. I think, right, what we need to do at this point is, and I realize it's not this simple, but the police need serious reform, and guns need to be banned. You should not own a gun unless you have a extremely good reason for owning a gun. And because you enjoy hunting on the weekends, it's not a good reason. Because you're worried about someone breaking into your house, that's not a good reason. Because you're worried about the government's, taking advantage of its populace when there's not a well-organized militia. That's just delusional. Like, that's just like, you think your AR-15 is what's stopping the government from imposing martial law. You're living in a dream already. Well, so Olevi, like, I would love for there to be gun control measures, but I'm at the point now where I'm just like, gun control is really kind of not enough anymore. This is an excellent point, Chelsea, right? Why do you fear the police, right? And generally, who fears the police in the United States? You see this reported on all the time. And there was just a report today where it was an op-ed, but it was basically a black guy who was riding with his white friend and got pulled over. And the black guy was just like completely astounded by how glib his friend behaved at this traffic stop. I don't think he was openly belligerent towards the police officer, but he was being a little bratty. And in the aftermath, the black guy was basically saying, I would never in my wildest, never would I do that. Like, I could not imagine even like I can't imagine the mindset that this person his friend had, to not be scared out of his fucking wits by being pulled over by someone who has a firearm, and 99 times out of 10, if they choose to say that you're escalating and decide that they want you gone, they're going to do it, and the repercussions will be non-existent, or if not non-existent, a slap on the wrist, or losing your job. Guess what? Losing your job for killing somebody that's not accountability or justice or anything like that. Look, it's not a panacea. I'm not suggesting that we get rid of guns and there's never going to be violence. I mean, people are violent. It's something that is like part of our nature, right? To be violent. But I really, it gets under my skin when you hear people who are like, well, like these school shootings, like somebody, and I think this was actually a British politician who said someone with a knowledge of knife weaponry could easily come in and do as much damage. Is that true? I don't think it is, right? For one, like just right out of the gate, if you can outrun someone with a knife, you're golden, right? There are so many tactical advantages to a gun that put the person without a gun at a disadvantage, and mass numbers of people at a disadvantage, and you just don't have that kind of killing potential with a knife. It'd still happen, right? You'd have knife killings, right? But the numbers would not be what we're seeing now. And so how can you argue, well, yeah, you could do that, but then, you're going to have 500 people dying a year instead of 6,000, or actually those numbers are off, right? So you're going to have 150 people die instead of, 900 people die a year. Okay. Well, I'll take I'll take the lower number, even if it's 30% lower, right? Like why are we prioritizing this idea? And then it's not just right wing, right? It's also what we. This is one of these euphemisms for selfishness, which is the libertarian, right? Don't infringe on my personal liberty. And what it comes down to is just who are you thinking about? Who are you putting first? And what are you afraid of? So now, as we kind of said before, like in the moment, right? If I don't have a gun and someone else does, and they are trying to kill me, my reaction to that is going to be, fuck, I wish I had a gun, right? However, what our opinions are in the moment of conflict is not what matters. What matters is what our opinions are when we are level-headed and trying to think about the community as a whole and not thinking about just me or just you or same kind of thing like we were talking about with when you die, right? Like you can rationalize away and not be afraid of death all you want. You can protest all you want. When the time comes, you might, at the last minute, convert to Catholicism. That doesn't mean that you were a Catholic or a believer in God. It just means that in that moment, in that particular circumstance, you wished that you could have something that your the larger part of you denied yourself, because the larger part of you, the rationally thinking part of you, the part of you that is not in that sort of fight or flight moment or do or die moment, that part of you decided to prioritize the good of the many over the good of the one, right? Anyway, that was right. Yeah, it's always going to happen. It's never going to. We're not going to be able to change our true nature, and our true nature is that we are beasts that are constantly trying to push our amygdala down with the frontal lobes, our cerebral cortex, pretending that we are tea-drinking, civilized creatures when we're basically just, animals with table manners. Anyway, so so the mass shootings, we already went through all that. No, I just don't see any rationale for the Second Amendment to stay the way that it is. Something I'm curious about. Hey, Knock Texan, I didn't see you. It's good to see you. I would not be surprised by this at all. Yeah. Helicopter. Correct, Bobby, yes. Yeah, I mean, so what are the motivations for becoming a police officer? Like, let's say that it is not something, let's say you don't come from a long line of Boston police officers, where if you did not go into the Boston PD, you would be a shame to all your cousins and your parents and grandparents. It's not the Departed situation. Um, and so let's say that, right, of your own free will, without the pressures of your family or environment, you choose to become a police officer. Good night, Maddie. Thank you for coming by. Here you go, Nick. Right on. Right on, Nick. What are your motivations for becoming a police officer? Why do you do it? Well, why would you want to be a police officer? I can see two reasons why. One is you want to serve and protect, right? One is you genuinely feel a civic responsibility to help your fellow man, man being mankind, and that is why you get into police work. So that's one reason. What are some other reasons, right? Other reasons would be you want to feel powerful. You in your past, or as a youth, maybe you didn't have that kind of power. You felt powerless. Maybe you lived in a family where your father or parental figure was abusive and did not allow you any control over your own life. There are multitudes of reasons why the idea of being able to exert control over another human being might appeal to someone who lacks a moral compass and who possibly lacks compunction, right? And not just that, right? Like, even if you are a high-minded chap, a civilized person, your motives are pure, you want to make the world a better place, there are things that break you down, right? And this happens to everybody in almost every situation. But I think it's particularly, it's a particularly hard rock when it comes to policing or the military or anything where it's like you are trying to exert your will, the will of a system of policing or military government or whichever it is, onto a group of civilians and or other armies or other military. So when you're doing that, when you're engaged in that day to day, over and over again, you're being exposed to this resistance for reasons that will frustrate and confound you. And you'll be fighting against not only your enemy, right? And I use that word very specifically because I feel like what can happen in these cases is the people that you were initially pledged to serve, you start to kind of see as the enemy. In addition to the bureaucracy that surrounds and regulates what it is that you can and cannot do, and what your agenda is, what it is that you're trying to actually accomplish in sort of the kind of terms that you saw, spelled out in The Wire, right? Like, or any police procedural where it's, get this off the books, have a show of force, to prevent further insurrection. There are just it's kind of like when we were talking about death, right? Like you get every day, every one of us is presented with X number of doors, and Y number of those doors will lead you to death, and a small subset of those doors will lead you to another day of life. Oh, good night, the Jovial Brit. Thank you for coming by. So anyway, I lost my train of thought there for a moment. So you're going through all of these things. You're going through all these procedures. You have your ideal. And again, like now I'm assuming the one case where you would have somebody going into the police force for a reason of feeling a moral obligation. You have all of these things that could constantly be grinding that down, frustrating you, pushing you to the edge, just like, people who are not police officers or not in the military get pushed to the edge and become mass shooters, right? The very same environmental factors that lead people, that cause people to lash out in these ways, they're tenfold as intense in a situation where you're policing people. And add to that the fact that then your ability to act out and retaliate based on those feelings is also exponentially more or potentially more damaging. And on top of that, the repercussions for acting out on your baser instincts are dulled. If not generally, sort of entirely removed. Look, cops are not the only assholes in the world, right? Everybody's an asshole. Most people are assholes. Good night, Grace. Thank you for coming by. But it is a police officer's job to deal with people and de-escalate situations. And that can be, it sounds like I'm sympathizing with the police, just like when I go at this from the other end. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to think through the causes. And I know there are plenty of people way smarter than me who have a lot more insight into this and a lot more data to back up their hunches. This is just my personal sort of trying to think this through. And in doing that, like what pops to mind, what comes into mind is you have a world full of assholes, and that includes assholes on the police force and not on the police force. You have all of these elements, bureaucratic frustration, people who you eventually are sort of shoehorned into seeing as the enemy, the ability to act out and immediately have a support system to prevent you from facing repercussions from acting out. It's a recipe for disaster. And that's before you add racism into the mix. Like now, add racism into the mix, so X percentage of people who have, who either have a natural predisposition to be racist or misinterpret the lay of the land, where they see things like black on black crime or situations where black people are rioting and destroying property, and they fail to see the larger picture there, which is and it's kind of what we're doing here, right? Is like they fail to kind of step back and say, what are the causes for this? Like why Why does someone feel like they need to do this? What is driving them to do this? And if they were to look at those causes, they would see that it is, I don't know how you can get away from it being generations of systemic racism and, redlining and preventing, sort of cloistering the more sort of upper class or middle upper class caste system, and trying to keep things the way they are because, for the people who are at this moment in the majority, they like the way things are, right? They don't want it to change. Nobody wants this kind of radical shift in power. And their fears, we have to try and understand their fears as well. Their fears could be that they think that it's the first step in a long line of turning the tables. Like there might be people who think, well, yeah, I do want equality and equity, but I have a feeling that if we go down this road, we're going to reach a point where marginalized people now have as much power as the non-marginalized, and there's going to be some retribution there. And that's interesting too, because that makes you think, or it makes me think, one, maybe you deserve it. Maybe, right? And then it's also, well, maybe that's projection. It sounds to me a little bit like you're afraid of that because that's what you would do. And both those things are valid reasons to be afraid of any sort of change. And it makes sense then why, conservatives don't want to empower that change. It's wrong. And people need to be, I think people need to be a little, have a slightly longer view on things. And this goes right back to, if you want to talk about civic duty, give up a little bit of yourself, right? Stop worrying about you and stop worrying about you. And it's not like, this also kind of gets in while I'm really going off here. This also kind of gets to me, like this idea that it's selfish for you to worry about yourself, but it's not selfish for you to worry about your family. No, it is selfish for you to worry about your family. Somehow we as a society have come to this sort of mass conclusion that if you're doing something for your children or your sisters and brothers and your family, that's noble. But it's selfish. Like we can do the breakdown on genetic material that's being passed down, right? And see where, in addition to maintaining the status quo, right? If your family continues to maintain the power that you've already accumulated or already had, it prevents any sort of change. It just makes things static, right? And I say this knowing full well that I would, do anything to protect my family, and would have a lot of trouble. It would be much easier for me to vote for something that was against my interests, but just mine, right? Like if there was something that like, well, this is going to hurt me, but is going to help more people, it would be fairly easy for me to vote for that, right? And I would want that to happen. The moment you bring in, and this is kind of like the hooks that society gets into you, and the reason why the Catholic Church is like, oh, be fruitful and multiply, and the reason why we want people to be family people and have children, because we know what this does to people psychologically, it puts anchors on their ability to think freely and to act freely, because they're constantly second guessing everything that they do in terms of, well, not just how does it affect me, how is it going to affect my children, how is it going to affect my husband or my wife or whatever it is. And we've, as a society, we've normalized that as being heroic, right? I don't know that it is. I don't know that if I vote for something that is not beneficial to me, but is beneficial to my offspring, but is still not beneficial to a larger proportion of the population, that's not heroic. That's me looking out for number one. It's just number one by proxy of being my progeny proxy. Yeah, let's see. I want to check in on what other people are saying, because I'm really going off here quite a bit. Celine, you did your master's on PTSD. And that's not surprising. And Leela Bruin, I know you're being a little glib here, but yeah, you're also accurate. Right? Humanity is a bit of a shit show. Always has been, and seems to be getting worse. Well, that's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that, Mouse Bear. And I'm talking broad strokes here, right? I'm definitely not like, I'm generalizing, and I'm not trying to point out, like, everybody, your data set of one is, and my data set of one is not, and my data set of one plus the number of friends that I have that I know of who have experienced X, Y, or Z, that's statistically means nothing, right? But by the same token, I'm guessing there's a lot of good people in this chat right now, a lot of thoughtful people, because generally, I think when you start to talk about things that make people uncomfortable, they leave. And if you're, which is not to say there's lots of reasons not to be listening to me right now, right? I'm not saying if you leave, it's obviously that you're a bad person. I'm just saying that if you were not predisposed to think at least somewhat in this way, then you probably wouldn't be listening to this. You go to your echo chamber. You go to the places that reinforce your own pre-existing views, so that you can feel good about yourself and sleep at night, etc. I want to follow up on what Celine said. This is, I think this is largely true across the board for any institution, right? Everything we'd prefer, and down to the level of the individual, right? We'd prefer things be settled without outside knowledge. I'm sure Johnson & Johnson is doing some legal finagling right now as we speak to kind of try and put as positive a spin as they can on whatever their cross-contamination Janssen BS stuff was in their blood clots, etc. I don't know, Pavi. I mean, acknowledging it is step one, isn't it? Right? I mean, yes, anything you do could be categorized as selfish. If you give all your money away to a particular charity, um, the argument could be made that you did that because it makes you feel good about yourself and is therefore selfish. So um, that let's table the idea, the word selfish. I guess I'm talking more about just the needs of the many versus the needs of the few. And where else have we? I mean, we've seen that. We've seen so many instances of that. We've seen that. I mean, the U.S. is at the point right now where we have too many vaccines. Like we overbought, we hoarded. We have vaccines that cannot find arms. Whereas in India, there is a massive shortage of vaccines. And ironically, a lot of vaccines are manufactured in India, and yet they ship them out to other more, I don't want to say favored nations because of the implications, but the nations that are paying a lot of money for them, or who got a good seat at the table. So we see this shit going on all the time. And what did I miss here? I feel like I missed something. Nick, it's kind of harsh. I mean, I want to be sensitive. Interesting. Well, I hear a lot of people yelling at Google. I don't know what Google's doing. Are their messages being suppressed? Wow. Well, what is Nick? What is being said that specifically offended you? Right. So yeah. So I'm probably saying things in a really, I'm overgeneralizing certainly, and you know, I'm not. I have my own feelings about the military, and I have my own feelings about the police. My feelings about the police are, particularly, in the U.S., are much more negative than my feelings about the military. But I don't. I just don't have the. Okay, this seems to be like a. Oh, Lexi. Good night. This seems to be a discussion between you all. Okay. Well, we want to be as, I guess, as careful as we can. We have a lot of people with a lot of disparate backgrounds here. Oh shoot! Wow, that sucks. I bet you they wouldn't delete messages with a link to another Google site. Wow, that is lame. This is dangerous. Yeah, I mean, it's. I think there is like a general consensus, but again, speaking in generalizations, about what can happen to you when you go through the ringer of military life for X number of years. I too have a cousin who is a Marine colonel, was an Eagle Scout growing up. I really don't have the knowledge to be able to speak about this very much. What I'm speaking about more is the effects that it has. I can't really go into the specific causes because I don't know them, because I was never in the military. I was never going to serve in the military. I had no interest in it. I had certainly had no interest in protecting someone else's gold or oil, or potentially losing my life for a cause that I didn't believe in. However, there are the same sort of life traps that exist in almost every sort of family-based career path that certainly exists for the military, right? Military families are a thing. So let's move on. We spent quite a bit of time talking about that, and I realized it was not all rainbows and unicorns. Yeah, I mean, I also have a cousin who's SWAT, right? So I don't go to a lot of family functions. I don't really feel like I belong. And they usually constitute me holding my tongue as best I can for as long as I can. Although my immediate family, like my mother and my sister, are, I don't feel that way about. But when you go out a little bit further, I do start to feel that way. So I wanted to go over. So we want to do this writing. I don't even want to call it a writing competition. A writing party. A writing party with a prize. And I've thought more about how I want to do it. And so let me run this by you all and tell me what y'all think. Okay. Like I said yesterday, but in case people weren't here, I don't want to have a writing competition where I'm reading and judging stuff and awarding prizes based on what I think is the best written, because who am I to judge any of that kind of stuff? So it really is going to be more of like an enter if you want, as long as what you write fulfills the criteria for what we're outlining, which I'll outline in a moment, then it counts. And as long as, like I said, as long as it falls within those criteria, as long as those criteria are met, then you are entered into this raffle. And the raffle would essentially be, I'm thinking we would do 4 prizes. We would do one $200 for what we would be calling first place, but it would really just be like you got pulled out of the hat. And then $300 second place prizes. So I think the criteria would be a story written that's between 3,000 and 5,000 words. The pretext should be that it's fiction. It doesn't mean you couldn't actually just write something from your life, but present it as fiction. And it has to be a new story. It has to be something that you haven't already written. And I've been wondering about how we enforce that, or if it's just based on the honor system. I was thinking well, I would have to somehow incorporate something from modern times to kind of let us know that, this at least has been written in the last couple of years. And then, of course, COVID comes to mind. But then I was thinking, well, then we're just going to end up with a bunch of COVID-related stories, which I don't really want to do. So I'm thinking that we go with the honor system with this. I would love it if this was something that was not yet written. That would be fantastic. And you're not just kind of going into your drawer and pulling out something that fulfills the criteria and then entering it for a chance to win. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, what I was saying was, so first prize would be $200, and then three other people. There'd be three runners up, and each of those runners up would get $100. So ostensibly a fiction story, between 3,000 and 5,000 words. Maybe that's too much. Let's say this. It's got to. Well, no, I think it has to be. I think it's got to be. Because I don't want people submitting, 4 paragraphs. That doesn't seem fair. Pavi, I know you've already started it. That's fine. But maybe we can say 2,500 words with a maximum of actually, let's bring the maximum down. Let's say 2,500 to 4,500. And the idea would be then, regardless of who gets the monetary prizes, this is where like my own sort of judgment would come in, would be, I'd like it if it were, I was able to read them on my channel, and of course credit whomever it's done, whoever wrote it, and then go from there. And I figure if we give it a month from now. A story about what? The story could be about anything. And if you don't want to, you don't have to have anxiety, because you don't have to do it. Oh gosh. Well, Chels, what sort of, I was thinking a month, because I want to give enough time to sort of disseminate this information and then give people the time to write it. Maybe a month is a little bit too short. Maybe we say 6 weeks, in which case we're talking about episode 39, assuming I don't miss any more episodes between now and then. Well, no, it's a fictional story. That's it. It's a fictional short story. I can tell you my preference, but my preference doesn't really enter into it. Although it's going to enter into what I end up reading on my channel. This is a good point, Q. Yes, no, it has to be safe for work. Let's say soft R, right? I don't want to rule out any sort of, if there's some violence or some passion, that's fine. But let's say the equivalent of a soft R, not a hard R. Frankly, I'm not really interested in fanfic, right? So I'm not interested in somebody doing like the origin story for Charizard or something like that. I'd like it to be, and also, yeah, it should be, so yeah, fiction, original IP, right? Not jumping on any like Rust Cole before, when he was in the HIDTA, nothing like that. So original IP, so we don't run into any sort of copyright issues. between 2,500 and 4,500 words. Let me write this all down. Fiction short story. 2,500 to 5,000 words. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Soft R, which isn't really quite the same as safe for work. Original fiction, yes. However, people say stuff is fiction, but you could actually be writing about something that happened in your life. But if it's presented as fiction, there's no way for anyone to know the difference. Don't worry about it, Q. I'm writing it down, and I'll come up with like a more specific set of rules and post it on the community tab of this channel, and be sure that it's on the Discord as well. I'm going to put the rules on Discord and the channel as well. So you might be bending the rules, not breaking. I definitely have. I have to say that, like, I keep the final say on if something is acceptable or not. So, Pavi, if you think you're playing with fire, I would maybe, you can do it, right? But I might be like, no, this doesn't qualify, right? And I'd like to read a bunch of them on this channel, and then a few of them that aren't tied to who wins or doesn't win or whatever on the Phoenician Sailor channel. Of course, I have brand concerns that I have to take into consideration when it comes to stuff that I read on the other channel. I don't really have to worry about that so much here. So it's solely it's got to just be my, this sounds like dictatorial or whatever, but it's got to just be my say on if something qualifies or does not qualify, or is too not safe for work or not too safe for work. And maybe it could be something where it's like, yeah, you know what, if we cut this out, then it's okay, right? So yeah, original fiction, no existing IP, 2,500 to 5,000 words. Nick, yeah, 1K is too short. Because I'm going by, it takes me about 30 minutes to read a 3,000 word story or a 3,000 word script on a channel. So I don't want it to be over an hour of reading if it's something that is going to be read on a channel. And I don't want it to be like 15 minutes. I'd like it to be somewhere between like 25 and 45 minutes. So that's really where I'm getting my numbers from. It has been the years that I've been reading these scripts. I know how many words to shoot for in order for a video to be an hour long or a half hour long. I just want to see if Scott gets it and then gets it again. Oh boy, you might be disqualified, Pavi. I don't know. Wait, what? Oh, okay, yeah. I think Pavi is saying like playing it fast and loose with the rules. But yeah, like I said, ultimately, well, and there you go, Charles, right? Like, it's always nice to like challenge yourself to do something. Doesn't matter what person it's in. It can be any format. It can be epistolary. It can be, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying that word again without. Oh, of course, yeah. If you really want to challenge yourself, make it second person. It can be whatever tense. It could be someone relating a story to you. It could be unreliable narrator. It doesn't matter. original fiction. My personal preferences are, of course, uncanny horror, but my personal preferences don't really factor into whether or not you're going to win money or not. Oh, that's kind of you. I'd be uncomfortable with that. I'd rather just go ahead and do that. But it's not, maybe something comes to you. I don't know. Somebody's going to do. I will be checking to be sure that nothing is plagiarized. Wait, what? Can it be very, very dark? 3 varies. Yes, of course. It can be very, very dark. It could even be, dare I say it, very, 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 very dark. I don't know if you want to go to 6 darks, 6 varies. But as far as I'm concerned, the darker, the better. Within the confines of soft R, right? So, with that in mind, I wish you all luck. As I brush your ears to let you know that everything's going to be okay. And no one's going to judge you except everybody. I think we all know each other here. Like we're pretty, as far as non-IRL friends can, we're pretty close. So I think we all know that nobody's going to leap down anybody's throat if they don't like a story. And look, what is someone's cup of tea, might not be someone else's cup of tea, but it's very subjective. I mean, I'd like to think that I'm pretty open when it comes back to it. And ultimately, it doesn't really matter how bad it is because it's not being judged based on how bad it is. That being said, I reserve the right to say this does not qualify because I don't want someone just, as we said yesterday, copy pasting the same 3 words over and over again and calling it a performance art piece or something like that. But I'd be excited to read them. So in 6 weeks and the exact date might change a little bit, but I think if we kind of shoot for 6 weeks, so, the first week in June. So we pretty much you have all of May. You have all of May to write it. And, if you're on the Discord, then maybe we could do something where it's like, you're critiquing each other's work, doing early drafts, whatever it is that you think you want to do. I don't, when it comes to like ownership, I'm not interested in like saying that they become my property or anything like that. They would still be your property. The only thing would be there's a chance that I would read them out on my channel. So as long as you're okay with that, you retain all the rights to whatever it is that you submit. And I'll be sure to include that in the rules as well. Oh, Q, that's a great idea. Q, could you do that? That would be fantastic. But it's not a requirement to be a Discord member to participate. You could be anyone, but it would be a great place to, like you said, talk about ideas and workshop stuff. I might try not to look at that because I'd kind of like to see these things sort of with fresh eyes. If I read your story, Q, well, it depends on the condition. I mean, you can ask whatever you want, but if it's going to be like, you have to do it in this particular voice, then probably not, especially if it's Scottish. But having said that, ask away. Ask away. Well, I'm gonna keep doing the ears, but I'm not worried about that. I'm assuming people are going to use something like Google Docs. I'd prefer it if you actually did use Google Docs, and then I can just apply whatever it is that I want to everybody's story when I concatenate them all into one beast. But then again, maybe your formatting is part of your story. Maybe you're doing a short story version of House of Leaves, which, if you have not seen it, plays with the formatting. Let's see where it really plays. Oh yeah, this is a good page. It says actually, this is not going to be any better for that. Well, it says, don't be scared, right? And this book does this kind of thing all over the place. I never tried to actually play that. Yeah, so it'll put like writing in the corners. Text like this, where you have to kind of overlap them and then hold it up to the light. Certain words are in different colors. Yeah. So people look at House of Leaves and they're like, well, that's a really long book, but a lot of the pages are almost completely blank. So be sure to let me know if formatting is part of your story, so I don't ruin it by left justifying it or doing whatever I would do to screw it up. Let's come back to camera one. What's Ava's idea? What? Oh, Q. Maybe I actually don't have a lot of that stuff, but I can try to find it. Ms. That's good. Oh wow, that's that's signing up for that's a big deal there, Xava. I would that would be wonderful, but that would be I would think a lot of work. But I'm not gonna discourage you from doing it. Oh yes, yeah, Jessica, yeah, the Ted Cruz shirt. I think it is was the Zodiac killer. Or is the Zodiac killer? I guess that's disproven now, but I mean, does it really matter? You know. Oh, good night, Mouse Bear Kitty. It was good. Yeah, I'm probably gonna sign off here in a minute. I think we went through this actual topics that we were supposed to do. We did some actual ASMR. I like the idea of like the end of these streams being ASMR-y. And like, we have all the contentious stuff front loaded like we did tonight. There was quite a bit. Good night, Lisa. Thank you for coming by. Oh man, this makes me feel. Seabreeze, I realize you're trying to be nice, but that just makes me feel really old, because to me that's not like old meme culture or anything. Yeah, I know, Q, but this is the problem. Is MySpace nuked everything, and I didn't really keep it. I didn't think Tom would do me dirty like that. Oh yeah, I showed it at the Zodiac stuff. I showed it at the beginning of the stream. Ooh, Levy, binge watch The Circle. Season 1 of The Circle. Actually, I need more binge. There is a new HBO show out, Mayor of Eastwood, with Kate Winslet. It's another murder mystery in a small town. The first episode came out on Sunday. Can't really binge watch it because they're releasing, an episode a week. But what I saw from the first episode was possibly promising. Not that much happened. It was mostly, sort of character introductions, which is fun, and seemed like interesting characters. So I'm definitely going to give it. Where did I have my beard brush? I only recently, my beard is really too short for this beard brush. Chels, what are you saying? Well, there are episodes of Inside Number 9 that are terrible. I don't like at all. Well, I guess I shouldn't say they're terrible. I don't like them. Oh, Mr. Mercedes. I read the books. Not really interested in getting another. Like, there are so many streaming services now. I actually checked today. I went and I checked how many I'm signed up for, and like over a dozen. It's crazy. I'm not signing up for another one. It's just crazy to me how much streaming has been chopped up into little pieces. We're moving backwards. We're back to sort of cable. again. Maybe even worse. Everybody likes Money Heist, huh? I still have not watched it. But are there any others? Anybody can think of? Besides Money Heist? Could we table Money Heist? Talk about something else? Or should I just bite the bullet and watch Money Heist? There are some actors who just would read a line and maybe have a line like, you and he were buddies, weren't you? And they'd just say it like that. They'd say, you and he were buddies, weren't you? And I find that lazy. I find it much more strategic and emphatic reading is what lines like that deserve. So I would do something like, look at the actor. I think it was a two-shot. Look at the actor. Look at the door. Look back at the actor. You and he were buddies, weren't you? You watch the cryptic crossword, you're left feeling dreadful. Yeah, I liked that one. The professor. I don't know who the professor is. Who is the professor? The professor from the cryptic crossword episode of Steve Pemberton? Who's the professor? People got my Matt Berry. I would not kill, but I would possibly injure to get that voice. You and he were buddies, weren't you? Who's the professor? Oh, Miami. Am I helping y'all get bingo? Miami. LQ. Is it about a bar? The professor from Money Heist. Okay, well. I think I know. I mean, is he like the main character? Because whenever I see anything about Money Heist, it always shows this one guy. And he's got kind of longish, dark hair. And he kind of looks like a skinny Matt Berry. Oh, did you? Well, so I watched back and I was a little disappointed. It's just not Peep Show, I guess. But it's still very good. I didn't realize Robert Webb had to have a heart valve surgery. Is this coming through? I don't even know. It's got to be. We're at 20 dBs here. Well, that's interesting, Chels. While I like A Quiet Night In, I don't love it. I admire it. I admire it more than I enjoyed it. And I like, some Chaplin, Keaton. Oh man, Q, I don't want to know. Whoops. I don't want to know how you know this. I'm guessing it's because of 3 a.m. I commented on it. On something. But that does happen. Like if I wake up in the middle of the night and I look at my phone, sometimes there will be, an alert saying somebody said this or whatever. And then I'll, just respond to it right there in the moment. I, like maybe a few days after a video comes out, I will try and comment on most of the comments, but then pretty much then it's just like scattershot, like whatever. If I'm indisposed, perhaps in some way that one might think of, and I see an alert come up, I might respond to it. There's not really much rhyme or reason. Let's brush that ear. That ear's disgusting. It needs to be brushed. How's everyone's vaccinations going? What are vaccinations like in your respective parts of the world? So where I am now, it's everybody. If you're 16 and up, you can get vaccinated. Well, Pavi, we talk here. So. I am now 11 days post Johnson & Johnson. Oh, good night, Xava. Thank you for coming. Oh, Roman check, you get number 2 in 2 weeks. Q, you get your second shot Sunday. Celine, I'm not following. Did you get one shot of AstraZeneca and now you're getting Pfizer? You can't, I don't think you can do that. AstraZeneca is a one shot, isn't it? So a lot of people are getting their first or second shots. Wow, that's good to hear. I'm glad. Is anybody in a position where they want or have a need for the vaccine, but there's just not availability? It's strange because, like, even just in Canada, apparently it's quite difficult. Ontario is having issues. Oh, I thought AstraZeneca was one shot. Okay. Yeah. So you get one AstraZeneca and one Pfizer. Got it, Celine. I'm not sure what Ms. is saying. Me. Yeah, Nick, the Canada situation, particularly in Ontario, is apparently shitty because of John, their provincial PM, John, whatever his name is. And it's just ironic because, like, they're so close to the U.S., and the U.S., like I said, has too many. Can't. It's probably wasting. There's going to be. Okay, Ms., you don't have to get mad. All right. I got it. There's a lot going on. Yeah, Israel, supply is outweighing demand. Yeah. In some areas, that is the case. Doug Ford, yes. Oh, what's the word on Resident Evil 8? Comes out May 6th. So I intend to stream it. I will be stuck streaming it on a PS4. So hopefully it's playable. If not, it's more important for me to, I think, enjoy the game. Nick, yeah, Florida kind of turned around and was able to do sort of the unthinkable for Florida. Q, yes, it is coming out on the PS4. Hopefully it's not a cyberpunk situation. Psych yourself up for it, Oxy, because, if you get a reaction to it, that's proof that it's working. So if you get really sick from it, you're like, wow, this is working really well. I had, and I said this the other night, but I think I had I think it was probably a week's worth of not feeling right. I had fever the day after, and then the fever came back a couple days after that. But then even after that, I just didn't feel right. Like I felt fatigued and weird, and I didn't even really know. Like I didn't even really realize that I felt it until a few days ago when it went away. And then I was like, oh, I was not feeling well, and I didn't even really know it. So, it's hopefully it's something where if we have to take boosters every year, the boosters aren't as bad. Oh man, and at a Publix no less. I love me Publix and their white granite-like floors with black specks in them. Oh, Q, but you might need one. It's when you might need one most to take your mind off it. I was surprised at how sort of efficient the process was. So, I wouldn't worry so much about that. Would you rather follow dreams or play life safe? Oh my God, Publix sandwiches. I used to live on those things. Lunch every day. I would go to Publix. Man, for years. Probably a lot of nitrites in those meats. Follow dreams or play it safe. I guess I would probably not dichotomize it like that. I'm not going to follow a dream that has very little chance of succeeding and mess up something else that I have that's kind of a good thing, So I can't really say one or the other. Both. I do think there's also something to be said for like timing. Before you are tied down by the anchors of life that we were talking about earlier, family and obligations, you have more freedom to pursue dreams or to go after this wild hair up your thing. So it's all about context. Oh boy. I'd love it. So I will say though, the replacement for Publix up where I am here is Wegmans, and I do also really like Wegmans. So while I miss Publix for like a lot of the things that it reminded me of in my youth, including like stealing from Publix, stealing baked goods that they would leave outside the doors at like 4 a.m. Wegmans is pretty darn good. Might even their subs are not as good, but like as far as like what they carry, what they stock, maybe better than Publix, maybe. But I'm biased because Miami's, my hometown. Exactly, Ezra. This is correct. So I don't know if you've all noticed I've like sort of wound down to a sort of soft speaking writer of minds. I'll give you all my email. It's the same email probably that I use for interviews here. It's still a ways off, so I'm gonna write up something more official and post it. Legislation to grant immunity for drivers who plow into protesters? I don't know. We're talking about Publix expanding to North Carolina. I know they were in South Carolina. Like a while ago, years ago, they were in South Carolina. Get your shot in the top of the arm. Oh, I'm going to have to look this up. Sounds awful. Well, I hope everybody had a pleasant evening this evening. I think I'm going to start or just kind of wind down a little bit, But I think I like this format, as in, we come out of the gate, guns blazing, talking about whatever we want, all kinds of whatever controversy we want, and then as time goes on, tonight we didn't do any interviews. I will be obviously bringing that back next week. And Goodnight Shells, cue a new 742 security officer, the Fonz, Pavi, Lee, LeBron. I feel like I can't say Lee. I have to say Lee LeBron. It's like one word. Do you like the wind down too? Yeah. So I think I might start doing that. Because I think it helps me too. Because I don't want to be like all wired once I come off of this. So I think it's good to start strong and then kind of let it taper off. And So yeah, Resident Evil 8, when it comes out, for sure. Writing contest. I will post some stuff to the community tab here. Good night, Olevi. I hope you sleep well. And then I will post it to the Discord as well. And if Q is able to have add a workshop channel to Discord, that'd be cool too. If you're not on the Discord and you're hearing this right now, should join. You can search on Discord for Cult of Grinning Martyrs. Or I think I have the link up in a bunch of places that or Q has put. There, Q just put it up again. Good night, Q. Oh, Roman check 75. That's sweet. Thank you so much. That's kind. You make Wednesday nights better for me. Oh my gosh, look at this. Q already did it. Q already made the Writer's Workshop channel. Bam. Too quick. I can't keep up. So I'll hopefully see you before next week. Those of you getting the shot between now and then, and Q as well, right? Especially, good luck. Don't worry about it. Try not to worry about it. Give yourself the day after to recover if you feel any weirdness. But try not to be scared. It genuinely was like, when I got mine, I walked out feeling so good. Didn't feel great the next day, but I walked out feeling great. Good night, all Q. Good night, Colorful Dreams. And Elxie M, Ms. Celine, Poppy, of course. And we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.